So, well, there's no better way to essentially put this, but this is yet another hit in the metaphorical reality of Boris Johnson being slapped in the face once again by the British food and drink industry. Now, this is a really important industry. Not only does this industry, help survive and thrive in the UK, but a lot of its imports come, not surprisingly, from the EU, because that's the closest place you can get a lot of the fresh produce that they need to actually be able to, well, fill the demands that they have to produce for. Pretty obvious by the sounds of it. So you might think, why would a food and drink company be so adamant, in this case what we're about to go to, why would they warn especially Boris Johnson over their plans to leave Northern Ireland? Well, in case you may or may not know, at the beginning of next year, Northern Ireland could become the world's first government-sanctioned smuggler state. That is a possibility that could happen, and we've warned about this since day one of Brexit. But have we been listened to? Nope. But this comes from Business Insider, and the title of the article is UK Food and Drink Industry warns Boris Johnson that companies plan to pull out of Northern Ireland over Brexit. So, the leaders of at least 40 UK food and drink industry bodies have written to the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government warning that many companies they represent might pull out of Northern Ireland because of the increasing trade cost caused by Britain's exiting from the European Union's trading rules. What a surprise! And this is something else that you saw a lot of Brexiteers crow about, oh, these businesses won't move, they'll stay in Britain, they'll keep there because, we're somehow going to become a so much better attractive prospect for them to stay in. Not really. Rewind back to when Catalonia went for independence, and indeed, it is Spain's most industrious region. However, a lot of the Catalonian nationalists at the time were pretty much adamant that all of these businesses that were Spanish-run and owned businesses would somehow stay in Catalonia. They also got a huge shock when they did their move for independence, that a lot of these businesses said, okay, we're going to up sticks and move. And it was exactly the same rhetoric that the Brexiteers used to say that, these businesses aren't going to move. Yeah, that's on a lot of businesses. That's on a lot of businesses' mind, whether they are or aren't going to stay in the UK beyond next year. And if not, it might just be worth it just to move to the EU, or even wind down operations but increase operations in the EU. That is on a lot of businesses' minds, and that is something very real, very, very real, that we will probably see to start from next year. So the letter, which was sent to the Environmental Secretary, George Eustace, and Michael Gove, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, on Monday, said that the added cost, complexity and trade friction this inevitably creates means that it will be no longer practical for many of our businesses to supply goods from Great Britain for sale in the Northern Ireland market. In the letter, seen by Business Insider, the industry leaders said that they were concerned that several issues facing trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland at the end of the Brexit transition period, just in over 2 months' time, had not been addressed. What a surprise. Also, if you may or may not have seen, Boris Johnson had a 22-minute phone call with businesses, to which the businesses reply, and some of the biggest businesses in the UK, they replied with absolute shock, because they were hoping for finally some clarity, and from Boris Johnson himself, that Boris Johnson, from what they said, hadn't got a clue of what was going on. What a surprise! Johnson not having a clue what was going on. As as Paul Joseph Watson would say, imagine my shock. So, as of the January the 1st, Northern Ireland is expected to continue to follow the EU trading rules to avoid a hard border with the Republic of Ireland, meaning there will be new checks on goods crossing the Irish Sea. The letter to Grove and Eustace warned that the industry was still waiting for the government to say how it would resolve numerous issues affecting thousands of food and drinks companies in Great Britain that sell food to Northern Ireland. These include uncertainty over what labels British exporters to Northern Ireland would have to use starting in January, a national shortage of pallets that would be compliant with international law, and the costly new requirements for moving animal and plant products across the Irish Sea. The letter said that while Johnson's government had indicated it was seeking, quote, a new wave... Oh, that's Alexa.
Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
And that Johnson had indicated that it was seeking a new wave of checks on animal and plant products. Its plans appeared to cover only major retailers and would not protect small to medium-sized companies. An export health certificate is required for individual types of animal goods and costs over £200, and that's just per certificate. That is an absolutely astronomical cost if you are a small to medium business, because imagine how many of those certificates you are going to have to purchase, not only to sell your goods just into Northern Ireland, but possibly even the rest of Europe if you had a market there. So, you know, this is just absolutely ridiculous, but once again, it's just going to show you how complex a task this really is, and how simple the Brexiteers tried to make it seem when it was in no way, any way, shape or form a simple task to actually do. So suppliers to Northern Ireland that export animal and plant goods in large quantities face having to pay thousands of pounds on certifications. Lorries and containers used by suppliers will carry mixed consignments and are often made up of hundreds of products, each requiring different documentation and are subject to checks and inspections, the letter said. The 39 industry leaders representing at least 40 groups warned Grove and Eustace that unless these new checks and costs were minimised in negotiations with the EU, many businesses in Great Britain would simply just decide to stop selling goods to Northern Ireland. Producers are now preparing for this worst-case scenario, and many are planning to stop supplying the Northern Ireland market after the 1st of January, while they assess if it remains a viable option for their businesses, the letter said. It said that solutions are needed from the government to avoid this disastrous outcome, and urged the UK government to negotiate with the EU exemptions that would reduce the burden on smaller companies in particular. The Northern Ireland Retail Consortium, Aldon Colony, echoed the letter's signatures, telling the Business Insider that removal of the need for SPS checks and the costly export health certificates have been at the top of our list for mitigations and mitigation requirements for quite a while, and we have asked for that in negotiations. The letter comes amid new growing concern that in the business world that the government has not provided businesses with enough details for them to prepare for life outside the EU single market and customs union next year. Gove and Johnson on Tuesday held a phone call, which is the infamous 22-minute phone call, with senior business leaders in which they urged them to step up preparations for life outside the EU. The government this week escalated its Brexit communications campaign, urging companies to prepare for January the 1st with the slogan, "Time is running out." One figure who was on the call, however, said that it was a real disappointment and accused Johnson in particular of not being able to provide technical details that they were looking for. The Prime Minister didn't appear to be remotely aware of the key gap in preparedness is the lack of detail on dozens of important technical issues, the person told the Business Insider. Michael Grove was much more on the ball, but could offer no certainty on how things would actually play out or without a deal. It felt like the call was time to allow the government to start shifting the blame for any chaos which might ensue. The Business Insider asked the UK government for comment, but they did not reply. What a surprise. So, yeah, absolute chaos in January. And of course, we're still in this scenario where we don't know whether we're going to get a deal or not. But, as was said there by that guy, it looks like the government is already trying to lay the groundwork to try and shift the blame to businesses, because it can easily just turn around and say, well, hold on, we had this phone call with you, why were you not prepared? You know, it's just absolute ludicrousness, but this is the situation that we are in. And, you know, it's going to be absolute chaos come January if we get if Boris decides to go for a no deal. But again, we don't know. Oh, to have a crystal ball and to gaze into its wondrousness. It would certainly be probably horrific viewing. But I am still pretty much confident that Boris will have to climb down and accept the deal that is on the table. So, with that said, please do like and share the video. It does help out the channel lots. And of course, if you are new, do hit that subscribe button. We do talk a lot about British politics and of course Brexit, because it's going to be with us for some time to come. And of course, if you would like to support the channel in another way, there is a link below for my Patreon page and for a one-off donation link should you like to support the channel that way. And thank you very much to all the people that do support me in that way. Your support is very, very much appreciated. So with that said, thanks for watching and we'll see you all next time.